Hello? 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 This is the Vancouver
Commercial
Real Estate Podcast.
and welcome back to the Vancouver Commercial Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Cory Wright, and today we have no Matt, we have no Adam. Adam is getting the second shot of his vaccine, so he's probably going to be on the couch. And Matt, for some reason, has decided to pack up, go to Manitoba, and deal with mosquitoes.
Manitoba.
Today, we have sitting in as our guest host, Nathan Armour, our team leader from our William Wright commercial office in New West. Nathan, how are you doing today?
I'm 10 out of 10, Cory. Happy to be here.
So why don't you tell our listeners maybe a little bit more about yourself and how you ended up in this chair today?
For sure. Born and raised in East Vancouver. Got into the hospitality industry when I was quite young and kind of worked my way through there. Ended up getting a phone call and joined William Wright back in 2015. I spent a lot of my time on the golf course recently. That's one way to get away from this busy city.
So I call you yesterday to see if you can sit in, and we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And you're talking to me as if you're sitting at a bus stop. Towards the end of the conversation, you're trying to get me off the phone because you answered my call while you were golfing.
Cory, you miss a call from Cory, you miss a listing. I've learned that a long time ago.
Words to live by. So you take my call, and who are you golfing with?
I'm golfing with my dad. He's probably been addicted to the game for over 30 years. And I only picked it up probably like 3 years ago. It's a good way to spend time with him, but he does want me to be the next Tiger Woods, and I'm turning 28 pretty soon. So
let's unpack that a little bit. Like, your dad's former wide receiver for the BC Lions,
very
Grey Cup champion.
Yep.
Did he get a touchdown at all?
He got 3. They took one away because you can't have that many in a Grey Cup game. So he almost had a hat trick.
So there's some pressure for you to live up to.
100%. And
how is Pops at golf? Is he good?
I shot 72 just the other day, and he was mad at it.
Does he cheat?
Well, he moves his ball every now and then, but he says it's because of the lie, wet condition, like that. We're playing in the summertime. Like,
yeah. Well, it's Dad.
You don't argue with Pops.
So what's going on in the commercial real estate world?
It's crazy, man. We've been going back and forth about this. It's the supply and demand factor. There's just not enough inventory out there. I don't know if did you see the Q1 report that came out?
I probably briefed it.
Sales are up 46%. Give you a quick number here. $2.6 billion traded in the first quarter. It's 576 properties.
Commercial real estate trades.
100%.
Wow, that's dramatic. So what drives that number? Why is the number up so much coming out of a pandemic?
Well, we just saw how the commercial real estate industry persevered the pandemic. There was a lot of support from all different sides of groups, and it's too much money to be made to pass it up.
So on today's show, we have Emad Yacoub, CEO of the Glowbal Group. If you've eaten anywhere in Vancouver, you've eaten at the Glowbal Group. What's your favorite restaurant to go to?
Global. What do you mean?
Yeah, see, I'm a coast guy.
I get it.
Yeah, seafood, phenomenal sushi.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't want to get into it, but he started off with a cafe, and now he's got...
In Toronto.
And now he comes to Vancouver, opens up...
Dominates.
It's a lot of stuff to unpack, but I'm pretty excited.
One thing that's great about Emad is he's been very vocal during this time frame on good things government's done, maybe challenges government's put them in, how he's persevered through this. It's a phenomenal interview. And I think to hear firsthand and maybe some of the challenges that he went through as a company that had 900 employees going into this, how they persevered, how COVID's changed their industry as a whole, and what the Glowbal Group's learned from this moving forward that will probably make them a stronger company.
Well, that's what he said. He says he's going to be expanding after this. So what does that tell you?
So before we get to our interview with that, we have our sponsor. We are sponsored by Impact Commercial. With over 50 years of lending, Impact Commercial, for all your commercial needs, visit them at impactcommercial.ca. So without further ado, let's get to our interview today with Emad, CEO of the Glowbal Group. Enjoy, guys. Okay, so we're here with Emad Yacoub, CEO of the Glowbal Group. This man needs absolutely no introduction. If you've eaten in Vancouver, you've eaten at his restaurants. Emad, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Thanks so much for taking the time. We know you guys are really busy. For our listeners who don't know much about you or the Glowbal Group, which would be surprising if you can find anyone in the city that doesn't, can you maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself and the Glowbal Group?
Okay, so originally I was a very young chef in Toronto, one of the top chefs in Toronto in the 90s. Came into Vancouver to be the executive chef of Joe Forte's, worked there for a couple of years. And then I decided to go on my own. So I went into Toronto. I opened a couple of restaurants, started with a little coffee shop. It was about $25,000 in investment on my first place. And then things worked very well. So I opened a second one beside it. First one was called Brownstone Bistro. And the other one was Solo on Yonge. Things developed very quickly. We started getting busy. And that time, my ex-wife was from Vancouver and she wanted to come home to be beside her family. So we decided to move to Vancouver and open Glowbal. That was our first restaurant in Vancouver. That was 2002 when I opened my first place in Vancouver. After that, the ball started rolling very quickly. We opened Afterglow the year after, then Coast in Yaletown, then Senefir, then Italian Kitchen, then we moved Coast to make a big giant restaurants on Alberni Streets. Then we opened 3 trattorias, then the big giant Black and Blue. Then we got a big, huge Glowbal underneath Stella's Garden. And the last one that we opened was 5 Sail.
Wow.
At the Pan Pacific. So altogether, plus Nosh and the roof above Black and Blue, it's about 10 locations.
Wow.
I can't even remember anymore. But we're actually opening 3 more in the next year. So we're opening a restaurant across from the convention center called Riley's. That's going to be open March next year. We're opening Black and Blue in Toronto. That's going to be October 2022. And we're opening Trattoria in Walbrook Mall. That's going to be, again, we're hoping probably the end of next year, if it's not the early year after.
Wow.
So yeah, we're on a growth path. So it's been a good development for the company.
Well, one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to have you on today is you're obviously an industry leader. You're not scared to sort of share your thoughts on it. And obviously, I think we all know that COVID has greatly affected the hospitality industry and the restaurant industry. How has COVID impacted the Glowbal Group? I mean, what have you learned? Obviously, there's been some challenges there. What does it look like moving forward?
When it came in like a storm. Like, you found yourself in the eye of the hurricane without anything that prepped you for it. See, the people that they're not in restaurant business, they don't realize what happened to the restaurant industry. We got decimated. Imagine you waking up in the morning and you go into work every day and your job, and you have a very good job, you love your job, you have your customers, you're very busy, everything is great, you're making good money. And then in one day, you have to shut down all your business. No cash flow coming through. By the time you adjust, because you still have all your staffing. I mean, we had 900 staff when this thing hit.
Wow.
You have to get rid of everybody. So by the time you finish getting rid of everybody, because you can't just shut down the restaurants in one day. So you get the request is to be shut down, let's say, by the 21st of March. By the time you shut down your company, you need at least 3 to 4 weeks to shut down the company. This is a big, huge company.
Yeah.
That will creating for us a loss because there's zero revenue now.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm planning, like when you hear companies saying, closing down, you still have the chances to create revenues through in the closing time when you announce that. We had to shut down, zero revenue, and shutting down the company. We were losing $110,000 a day for 40 days straight.
Wow.
$4.4 million we lost in 41 days straight. Decimate the cash flow, of course. Suppliers all needed to be paid because this is all stuff that were on a 45 days payment plan. So all these bills, it was from January and February that needed to be paid in a time where there's zero revenue.
Wow.
So that is just me. Now take this time, 50,000 restaurants across the country. Take this across every single hotel across the country. So this, like the pandemic decimated our industry. Everybody, to survive it, they had to have loans, they have to borrow money, I had to break it in. We had to use my RSPs as a collateral. Like I had to break it into some of my RSPs just to keep things are going. We had to find the loans to get the company back on its foot. But then the minute this happened and we adjusted and we set up a proper plan to survive through that, I think it made our company a lot stronger because it made us through the pandemic to be quite more efficient. And we realized that we had lots of waste. I mean, our head office expenses about $3 million a year. We probably shaved it by half.
Wow.
So this is the things that we needed to do. We needed to take decisions. I mean, do we need 2 large copiers that cost me $6,000 a month or just 1 copier? You know what I mean? Get rid of one. Do we need to have 3 floors in our office or we don't need a head office? Everybody on a computer now.
Yeah.
Would that get back to the real estate question? Because you guys are calling on behalf of a real estate. Is all these decisions that lots of company did, including me, like I don't need head office anymore. I'm shutting down my head office. I have my lease. I'm not extended it. So I have another 6 months on it. So I'll be shut down the head office in 6 months. That would save me about $20,000 a month in rent. That's $240,000 a year in saving.
Yeah.
But how many companies are going to take that decision?
Yeah, it's true.
That's the part that's scary. Because when I start analyzing our restaurants, big chunk of our business is the lunch crowd. Mm-hmm. So if all these people are not coming back to their offices, what will happen to the real estate office business downtown? If a guy like me doing this, I'm hoping that companies like Amazon and Apple, Microsoft, all these big giant companies, they're trying to grow quite a bit in Canada because they found lots of loopholes in our immigration system, which is perfect for Canada anyway, to bring lots of labor from Eastern Europe and South America, computer programmers.
Yep. And
they got them for a very good price. Because I meet lots of these guys from Amazon in ours. So the average Amazon person, I think they're making over $120,000 in the US dollars, when here it's a lot lower. So they want to bring all these people from overseas because they can't get them they can't get their visas in the United States.
Yeah. Well, I think we're obviously very bullish on the office market coming back. And I think that's one saving grace that we're going to find in the city of Vancouver is we had such a god-awful vacancy rate that was so low for tenants trying to get into the marketplace that, the tech industry is one of our largest drivers of the office market. That I think will be our saving grace moving forward, that the tech industry and like you mentioned, Amazon, that stuff, these companies got larger.
That's exactly, because what I'm thinking is what they might go is, maybe they're not going to get any more office space, but at least their office space right now, they could use this as a flex space.
Yeah.
So instead of they carrying 2,000 employee in the post office building, they will carry 4,000 employee and they just put them on a flex space. Everybody schedule a space if you want to come into the office, but we're still going to keep hiring. So that's, I think, the saving grace. And then after that, maybe they will get some more spaces. Like from what I'm hearing from people, friends of mine in your business, still the occupancies and most of the because most of the buildings that coming up, they were already leased, right? Before the pandemic. So nobody's worried about that. It's if any new buildings are coming in, I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I mean, how does someone in your position, having so many leases in so many marketplaces, I mean, you go into this pandemic, it's sprung on you, you've got all these financial commitments. Like, how does someone in your position juggle that? Because there's no business model out there that says, hey, go be super successful and then just turn the well off for a year and hopefully you're still around.
But that wouldn't, I mean, my biggest mistake that I didn't make a video of what I was going through the pandemic. Like, I mean, I had 2 table 6-footers sitting in the middle of one of my restaurants with piles of checks that about a foot high time 12 feet long, the 2 tables time 4 feet wide.
Are you saying piles of checks? Are you saying you wish you done a documentary on it?
Yes, because it was painful. I used to come in and look at it and tears in my eyes. And some days I cry and some days don't know how we're going to do it. And I look at my partner and my best friend for years, says, Jack, how are we going to survive this? Right? We look at our bank accounts and we look at how much we have saved. And I look at my real estate. I decided to sell one of my real estate, like the building that my office was in Yaletown.
Yeah.
Because we had quite a bit of equity in it. Yeah. And we're saying is, we could always make money. Just we need to survive this. We know how we're going to make money. So we're looking at that building and said, if we sell it, we have enough cash to cover the company for about a year. That actually could make us survive out of that. And of course, the minute that the government started doing all the assist, it really helped the industry. That's what kept the industry from collapsing. I mean, if the government didn't do the the payroll assist and the rent subsidies, my belief is this: you probably have like maybe 5 restaurants left. Not even me.
Wow.
I will not make it. I will not make it if we didn't have the government assistance.
Wow.
Like the government assistance saved everybody. And I understand where it come from, because from their direction is they were going to pay this money, like it or not, on unemployment.
Yeah.
So if these people are staying at home, they were going to give them unemployment. So what they did, the government said, is instead of pay them the unemployment, we're going to give exactly the same amount. We're going to do it for unemployment, give it to the business to keep them in. So here we are, start running in our payroll, saying, okay, we're getting 50% of our payroll back. We could keep all these people on payroll, right?
Yep.
And if they stayed home, that's exactly the same number that it was going to cost to the government. So it was a win-win for everybody.
Besides shaving your expenses, what have you seen or what have you learned from this experience? And how is that going to make the Glowbal Group better going forward?
Well, the problem now is from me and everybody in Vancouver, lack of staffing. It is crazy. My night cleaner, I was walking out of my restaurant yesterday and she was walking in. She started crying to me. She said, Emad, I can't find staff. I have never paid more than $16 an hour. I'm offering 22 and I can't find them.
Wow.
I can't find them. I don't know what to do. I'm working 7 days a week and I don't want to lose your business, right? If I don't do a good job, but I can't find staff. I looked at her, I said, Gloria, she's been with me for years. She's been doing my night cleaning. I said, Gloria, you know what? I will have patience with you because I'm going through the same thing. I have function that is being offered to me right now, big functions that normally I wouldn't even think twice. One of them is this: one of the big corporate companies want to do meals for East Side.
Okay.
And they want to do like almost 30,000 meals. I mean, normally I jump on these just because I want to feel good on it, right? Like,
of course.
I don't make any money on it. Like I make a 30,000 meals. I'll be lucky if I made $5,000. Well, that take about 6 months worth of work, right? To make $5,000. It's not worth it from a profit perspective.
It's the giving back that counts.
But I would do them just because it's good for the staff morale and good for everybody, right? Now my problem is I can't find staff. I'm sitting in, before your phone call, I was sitting in with one of my chefs and saying, I don't have staff to make it. I said to him, I'll come and give you a hand, me as being a chef. So here I'm the CEO. I'll come and give you a hand once a week. And we could maybe swing me and give me one person who could swing this 200, 300, 400 meals a week. I'll do it in one day, no problem. But that means that I have to take 1 day of my schedules every week to do it. And now we're debating, this is going to make sense for the companies, right? Like to take the CEO out of the floor for 1 day a week to be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to find staffing. And that's, I think, what's slowing down the growth of anybody that want to grow right now.
Since reopening, how has it been? Like, have you guys seen a dramatic increase, obviously?
Yeah. The business starts. So we're about almost 80% return to regular business.
Wow.
I mean, the other 20% is the tourism. There's no tourism in the cities, right? So that's the extra cover that we get. And the lunch business that lots of people still not in their offices. But people are going out at night. People are out on the weekends. Like the weekends is completely packed. It's just the weekdays are extremely difficult right now to get people in for lunches because the offices are empty. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, the Talas Garden used to have like 3,000 people working in that building. We'll probably be lucky if we have like 400 people. So it's not even. Yeah.
So where does the industry go from here? Obviously, I mean, from an industry standpoint and you being a leader in that industry, what happens to the industry moving forward?
The cost is going to go up. It's going to go up quite a bit. So the price is going to go up. So it's going to be a big, huge inflation. There's no choice. The price of the product we're getting is coming quite expensive because they're paying their staffing a lot more to keep staff. Mm-hmm. We're paying our staff about 15, 20%. So the minute just to reopen the restaurants, we give all our staff about 20% increase in the back of the house.
Wow.
So that 20% have to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So it has to come in for our price to have to raise our price. So every dish has to go up by $1, $2 somewhere to pay for it, right? Like, I mean, we don't make any profit on it. We just want to subsidize that because we work in the penny business. People don't realize that when you walk into a restaurant that could have 500 covers in it and packed, people thinking that we're packing bags of cash and walking out of the back door. They don't realize that after pay everything, you'd be lucky if you break even for that day. Yeah, because the Sunday night is being dead, so it take out all the profit you make on a Saturday night.
You mentioned earlier about, it sounds like your first venture into the Fraser Valley market there with Willowbrook. What was the deciding factor being primarily maybe a downtown company to go out that way?
Because we know that our trattoria, we built that concept to go out to the valley and to go out to neighborhoods. It's supposed to be made for neighborhoods and outside of downtown Vancouver. The big restaurants with the big glamours are downtown Vancouver because that's where people want to go. And then the casual little bit, what are we going to eat tonight, honey? Oh, let's go to our Trat. It's a great neighborhood place. You could go in, have a nice pasta, a glass of wine, and about $40 per person. It's a lot cheaper than cooking from at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's made for this environment. And that's why we're looking at to move down to get there.
Do you have further expansions to go into the Fraser Valley with different concepts as well?
No, it's that concept. We're thinking we want to open another 5 of them around. So one goes to Surrey, a couple in Burnaby, and then we start taking it from there. It's almost like a Cactus or Joey's. It's how they have them. That's the same way we want to look at it.
Well, I've eaten at your restaurants quite often, and if Coquitlam's on your list there, I can tell you right now I'll be a guest at your restaurant the first day you open.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the staff will know you on a first name basis.
You mentioned earlier too about Toronto, and one thing we've seen sort of a trend over the past decade is companies like you mentioned earlier, Joey's and Cactus, yourself, and that stuff opening in Toronto. I mean, it seems like a lot more companies that do well in Vancouver also look to Toronto. Why is there such a migration that way from companies out west?
It's a very simple. It's a volume of people. I'm a Torontonian, right? Yeah. So I'll give you the simplest example. Where I'm putting Black and Blue is going to be in the TSX. So it's the perfect location in Toronto.
What would be the TSX compared to Vancouver? Like where would you situate?
It's the center stage.
Okay.
The center stage in Toronto. It's King Street. So I'll be beside King Tap. Now the TSX is a perfect location for us. We're going to put Black and Blue. That building alone have about 20,000 people working in it.
Wow.
The same 20,000 people, you take them, you fill up every single tower in downtown Vancouver, the 5 Bentals. Bental 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. That's not even 20,000 people in it, right? Yep. So that's one building.
What's the capacity of that restaurant going to be?
It's going to be close to the size of Black and Blue. So it's going to be a 220 seat inside plus a beautiful large patio. Almost 300 seat restaurant. So it's just me, Torontonian, understand Toronto very well. And I always wanted to come home, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Toronto for 15 years before I came to Vancouver. So it's very important for me to go back to Toronto. I've been trying for a long time. The question is I'm not going to open in Toronto unless I get the center ice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I get the center ice, because it allowed the company to grow and open more restaurants there.
Yeah.
We got center ice. Then we could start opening our Italian kitchen after that, and then followed by Glowbal and maybe trattorias, but we have to start with center ice first.
Do you see further expansion in Ontario more so than you do BC for future concepts?
It's the volume of people. Mm-hmm. You got 17 million people in Ontario. 18 million, 40% of the economy of Canada, right? So if we do it right, that's the growth for the company.
Yeah.
The reason that there is no amalgamation, because you asked that question from the east to the west, they came to check it out. I know them all. I know every single top restaurateur in Toronto. They came into Vancouver. They look at our prices, look at our real estate prices, and they said, there's no way we're going to make money because the real estate in Toronto is a lot lower. The price is a lot higher. It's straight to the bottom line.
Yeah.
So if I'm charging, give you a simple example. The steak in Black and Blue today is about $69 for a strip loin.
Okay.
The same steak, exactly, from the same supplier, because I know the supplier, the same steak in Toronto, in the same style of restaurant, is $89.
89.
Wow.
That's $20 more. And they're paying less rent than us.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
So what happens to the restaurant industry out here, say over the next 5 years? Do we continue to see more casualties of the smaller ones that unfortunately aren't going to make it through and the strong will survive?
We're not going to know what's going to happen until the credits stop.
Yeah.
Because it's still, I think there's lots of them are using the credit to just keep it completely float.
Yeah.
Right? So the minute that the credits stop, we're going to see what will happen to all these places. Because that's where we could see a flux of staffing coming back to the workforce and maybe lots of small places that will snap.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was passing by Glowbal earlier this morning and noticed the beautiful garden patio out there. Do you think there's a lot more emphasis now from an operator standpoint of putting emphasis on patios?
Yes, I just put up $195,000 for this patio. Just renovated it. Just finished it.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yes, it looked gorgeous. Yeah. So that was the same thing. I did it on the roof of Black and Blue, and it was so popular. So we decided to do it again. So we did it, and now we're starting on ours for Italian Kitchen. We're going to finish it in 2 weeks.
Wow. Is there any parts of the city that maybe you're trying to avoid for future expansion? And maybe I'll just use Yaletown as an example, maybe where you were before, but you're not there now. Is there areas that doesn't work?
You're trying, Yaletown, it's always been great. It's busy. But the reason I left Yaletown, because when I came into Yaletown, we were 5 of us, 5 different restaurants. We did not compete with each other. We had our own client base, and we were doing so well.
Yeah.
10 years later, 60 restaurants. So the people that were coming into Yaletown, the tourists that walking into Yaletown, now there's no longer this restaurant look great and the flower look great. I have 60 choices.
Yeah.
Well, that take that extra table on the line that we used to have. That doesn't mean that we were not busy, but we were not having a lineup anymore. So the lineup is what create that extra. This is where you make the profit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That extra 10% of the growth. People see our restaurant. The restaurant is packed. Yeah, but you know what? You used to have an extra 4 tables waiting in the lounge, waiting for a table. That was what is the profit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean? So the minute we start to realize our process is dropping because the Yaletown get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the rent is going up, I said, no, it's time for us to move somewhere else.
Is there any parts in the downtown core that you currently don't occupy that are on your radar that you'd like to get restaurants into?
Well, the one was the convention, and we're going into it. We're going to it. We think it's going to be one of our biggest restaurants too.
And whereabouts in the convention center are you guys?
It's the deal is signed, but I can't announce it yet because I would take away the marketing boom.
Gotcha. That's fair.
It's somewhere around the convention. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful location.
I bet.
It's a chop house. We're building a chop house, an American chop house.
Wow.
To be continued. We're looking forward to that.
Okay.
So where's the Glowbal Group 20 years from now? How big does the Glowbal Group get? And do you expand outside of Ontario and Vancouver eventually? Maybe.
My goal in the next 5 years is to double the company.
Wow.
So that's my goal. We have another street project that is a big project. Was actually we kind of signed. Like it's a handshake between me and the owner of the hotels.
Yeah.
To run a food and beverage of a full complex. But the reason we didn't going to do it yet because we were going to do it before, believe it or not, May last year. Then the pandemic hit. When the minute the pandemic hit, everything went on hold.
Yeah.
Right? So we're waiting until the pandemic's done, and he's waiting until the pandemic's done because it was a big deal with a big, huge expansion for our company and for them, the price tag of what we're going to be paying for it.
Yeah.
So we said we're going to have to all wait until the pandemic is finished. We still shake hands. We still see each other often to discuss it. So that's going to be a big, huge thing. I can't talk about it yet, but could be launched by beginning of next year, I think.
Lots of exciting news to come. Emad, we really appreciate your time. We have what we call the MLG 6-pack, 6 lighthearted questions we ask all of our guests so people kind of get to know you a little bit out of the workspace. Do you have about 2 more minutes for us?
Go ahead.
Okay. So our MLG 6-pack is brought to you by McInnes Law Group for all your commercial legal needs, for commercial closings to commercial leases. Please visit them at mckinneslaw.ca. All right, Emad, first question up. Favorite movie?
Godfather, a couple of them. Godfather, Gladiator, that's...
The good ones.
Yeah.
The good ones.
The Longest Day in the War, that was a very classic from very early days. Yeah. And Once Upon a Time in the West. Wow. That was a Western. Okay.
Good choices. Next one for you, Emad. Book to recommend that you've recently read.
I don't remember the name, but it was about Disney. It's about what made Disney Disney. Disney is incredible. In my opinion, it's the best company when it comes to service.
Was that the autobiography?
No, it's about running Disney itself, like Disneyland.
Wow.
Of how to make the staff believe in the magic of Disney.
Wow.
Because you walk into Disney, everybody's happy and smiling, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're drinking the coolies.
I thought it was tequila. I thought they just gave him a tequila shot before they started. Okay. Everyone's smiling. Next question for you. You probably don't get a lot of time off, but when you do, where's your favorite vacation spot to travel to?
Oh, I love Miami. I would love to own a restaurant in Miami. Because I'm in the West Coast, it's always feels very far.
Yeah.
I'm going in actually the end of the month. But if I get a chance, I would love to own a restaurant in Miami. I love Miami because I could walk everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a tax write-off to go down there and check on it every now and then, so you could probably travel more often.
Yeah.
We got one for you here. Favorite band or song brings a smile to your face?
Band is, of course, I'm an older person, would be the Beatles.
The Beatles.
Good one.
Yeah.
First time we heard that.
I could line up any song that he did, yeah, like it's there yesterday. Any of them, right? Hey Jude, any of them. I mean, I'm always playing the Beatles in my car.
That's awesome. It's the first time we've had that one.
Yeah.
Next one, real quick, is famous quote or inspirational quote or words you live by.
Yeah, who was it? I don't think it's Warren Buffett or Steve Jobs that said, "Don't ever complain. There's not enough time in your day. You have exactly the same 24 hours that Albert Einstein had, or Vasco da Gama, or any of these major people that changed the world. So don't ever say, I don't have enough time in my day. They all had the same 24 hours.
So true. So true. Yeah. Lastly, a piece of advice you would maybe give somebody looking to enter and we'll kind of tailor it to your industry, maybe someone who's looking to enter the restaurant business.
Well, it doesn't matter what business this is. My piece of advice is as simple as that. If you don't love your job, that's not the thing that you want to do. If you want to be successful in any type of a business, you have to love it. Never look at your watch when you're at work. My biggest problem is I always say, I want 50 hours a day because I could stay at work for 50 hours and I would not be bored. So that's, I think, if you love your job, hours will fly away and the business will do well and will reward you. But you have to love your job. Whatever the job is, just have to love it. Otherwise, it's not change.
So true. I remember growing up, someone told me that if you chase a paycheck, you'll only be good, but if you chase your passion, you'll be great. And it's so true. Emad, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. How can our listeners find out more about the Glowbal Group and what you guys are doing?
Just check us out on website, glowbalgroup.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Emad, for your time. Glowbal, of course, spelled
Glowbal.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Emad. We really, really appreciate it.
Okay.
Great. Thanks so much, Emad. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it, folks. Our interview with Emad Yacoub, CEO of the Glowbal Group. Phenomenal interview. It's amazing to hear kind of the challenge that they went through as an industry leader and then how this has sort of changed them moving forward. And it made your expansion to Toronto. I had no idea how much bigger the draw was in Toronto than it was Vancouver. I was very aware of the population size, but how he sort of coins it with like 20,000 people literally above a future Black and Blue.
I love how he's charging $20 more for a steak over there.
That costs less.
No wonder why.
You can see from a real estate standpoint too that retail rates in prime locations over here are just so expensive that to go over into a marketplace over in Toronto, where it's probably not as expensive as Vancouver, and you have a much larger pool to draw from, you can see why a lot of restaurant companies, whether it be Joey's or Cactus or Earl's or the Glowbal Group and all that stuff, that are expanding into Ontario. The one thing I thought was really interesting, he said how people from Ontario came out here to look at it, and we're just like,
we were crazy.
We're good. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. How quickly can we get back to Toronto?
I thought it was a great interview. I was pretty touched when he started talking about how you wanted to do a documentary. You had 900 checks on a desk there.
Could you imagine? Well, I think one thing too going into this is people probably, like, I don't want to say underestimated is the word, but they probably didn't think it was going to be as long as it was.
True.
And going into someone like Emad there, who's got some of the most prime locations in the city.
Yep.
They're not small restaurants. Some of those restaurants are multi-level. I couldn't imagine, what he probably went through going into that. I think coming out of it, as he mentioned there too, that they feel they're going to be a better company, a stronger company from this.
Yep.
I think looking 10 years down the road, looking back at this, I don't want to say it was a good thing that happened to them, but they're probably going to be a lot better at what they do because of it, and it could maybe help them further expand the company even larger than he sort of anticipates.
Well, exactly. He says he wants to double it by now.
Yeah. The Beatles.
You can't go wrong with the Beatles now. I can't name a song because I don't want to give my age out, but Hey June, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's July, but that's a good try. We don't want to give your age out, but just so everyone knows that you actually don't even qualify to get the vaccine based on your age. So
I'm below the age gap.
Yeah. Nathan, how can our guests find out more about Nathan Armour and what you guys are doing over there at William Wright Commercial in New West?
For sure. Give us a quick look on the website, williamwright.ca. You guys can find our newest category over there. We have some exciting news. I don't want to spoil that over the the mic here, but some big stuff cooking up over in the Tri-Cities right now.
You said Tri-Cities. Is there a reason why you said Tri-Cities?
That's all I'm going to say, Cory.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care.
Subscribe today.